Judgment is exactly what this damn pay-per-view deserves.
We're going to judge the hell out of this one. What are we talking about tonight, my friend?
Goddamn Judgment Day 2003. I mean, we were asked to do every 2003 pay-per-view, but there was a big lull after WrestleMania where the pay-per-views just weren't all that great. But
oh no, this is a big, like, I feel like stall period between now and I'll even say SummerSlam before things kind of started picking up. But this, we're gonna talk about some stuff here. But here we are again with Judgment Day 2003, continuing with our 2003 retrospective.
Yes, back to the ZNT wrestling show. Indeed, we've had a lot of really, exciting stuff happening in our lives lately. It's like my buddy Tomas here, because last night, all of yesterday, you were pretty busy because. You went to
I found out a few nights ago, last second, that AJ Styles was going to be in my area for a little meet and greet because Monday Night Raw was in Sacramento and I was in attendance for that. I found out that AJ was going to be at that Quicker Wireless and I was like, you know what? Why the fuck not? I got myself up like at 8 a.m, drove almost 30 minutes to that Quicker Wireless, stood in line for like 45 minutes. It went by pretty fast, but you know what? Shout out to Cricket. They're pretty cool. They gave us like a free goodie bag. They gave us free donuts while we were waiting in line. They were super hospitable while we were in line. Meeting AJ Styles was pretty cool. He's our favorite wrestler in WWE right now. So interaction was quick. Didn't really get to say anything to him, but I got a cool autograph. I got to two-sweet him. I got to take a photo with him. And honestly, when it comes to autographs versus photos, I always go for the photo because photos last forever. Yeah, right. You have the autograph, but you just have your word for it. Photos are a physical, piece of proof that, hey, I met so-and-so. Yeah. I always go for the photo over the autograph, but totally. He was not signing any personal items because of COVID protocols, which is, good on WWE. Yeah. Masks were heavily encouraged. Everyone in line was wearing them. They allowed us to take them off for the photo, which is great. So honestly, everything was handled pretty well there. And it was a cool experience. And, Monday Night Raw, I was sitting, I want to say 6 rows back near the end of the row where the commentators are. That was really fun. Other than the time I sat ringside for SmackDown, that is the closest I've ever sat for a show. I went with my brother. I went with my girlfriend. We had a really good time. Sacramento is a pretty casual fan WWE city, if you ask me, because there's 2 kinds of fans. There's the casual fans that will shit a live brick when they see Randy Orton, and they shit a live brick when they see Randy Orton. Yeah. And then there's the, I'm an AEW guy. I'm just here because WWE's in town. It's like, well, you still gave money to WWE. So if you really didn't like them that much, you wouldn't have been there. But exactly. I digress. Our main event was Charlotte Flair versus Bianca Belair for the Raw Women's title. It was a really good match. The fans were really into it. They were chanting, "This is awesome!" Like 5 minutes into the match, I'm like, "Okay, let's give this match some more time."
Little too early.
Saying that.
Little too early.
The only awkward spot I noticed in that match is that we could tell when the match went to commercial, and Charlotte Flair had the obvious momentum in the match, and it's like she knew when it was commercial, so she had to immediately stop her momentum and just go to like kicking Bianca Belair and like putting her in submission hold. The psychology did not make any sense to me. It's like Charlotte was on the cusp of winning the match, but since she knew she was in commercial, she had to like just slow everything down. And that could be because the ladies don't really get to main event Raw and SmackDown. It may be a psychology spot on that, but still, both women really worked it. I remember my brother did point out a spot where Belair was on the outside and she was about to get counted out, but then like Charlotte broke up the count for some reason and threw her back in the ring. I don't know what happened there. He's really good at spotting that. He was the one that spotted when CM Punk punched that fan back in 2012. So my brother's got an eye for that kind of stuff.
He's got a good eye for those little. He's got a good eye for those little teeny tiny details.
Oh yeah, he does. We had a good time, and the main event ended in a disqualification. And I'm not kidding. After that DQ, they immediately cut off TV, and they basically told us to get the fuck out of there. We didn't get a dark main event, and I think it was because everyone at Raw had to get on a plane to Saudi Arabia. I feel sorry for them.
Yeah.
They went from Little Sacramento, California. Now they got to fly 16 hours across the world to go do that dumb pay-per-view. But I got a New Day shirt. That was
there
cool.
You go.
Saw
there
Big
you
E.
go.
Saw Big E, saw Drew McIntyre, saw Jeff Hardy, saw RK Bro. RK Bro got the pop of the night.
That was going to be my next question is who were the who would you say were the top two like big stars, top two baby faces in your
RK Bro, and then next to them, Xavier Woods advancing in the King of the Ring tournament.
Okay, yep.
Third, that's not even a baby face, which is my story of the night. There were some guys in front of me that were obviously from India who were so hype for Jinder Mahal. Oh my God.
Yeah.
He basically almost turned that whole section into cheering for Mahal. And when I saw them go as a Harper, I was like, you know what? I respect the dedication and I respect the loyalty to him. And, you know, we were dueling back and forth during that match. We were dueling back and forth for the main event. They were really cool guys. But yeah, totally. I was like, I hope those guys got on TV because, and you know what? I hope Jinder Mahal noticed them because they were loyal to him.
Well,
and
honestly,
that was really cool.
And that's what I've noticed is like just specifically, I mean, this is just the case for a lot of like, you know, I don't want to say they're like cult favorites in general, but for a wrestler like
international stars.
Yeah, of course. Well, with wrestlers like Jinder Mahal, like if you meet a Jinder Mahal fan, they are going to be like loyal to that guy all the way to the end of his career. Up until he retires. That's what I feel like. And they're going to defend him till his dying day. I still don't think he should have won the WWE Championship when he did, but I feel like they should have built him up a little bit before that. But
my other favorite moment was those guys is that guy, like, I think they got separated from their buddy seating wise. So he moved back to our row for the main event. And I noticed he was really chanting for Charlotte. So I noticed him saying, "Let's go Charlotte," kind of by himself. So I kind of joined in. And when he said, "Let's go Charlotte," I went, "EST, let's go Charlotte." And everyone around me started going, "EST." And then he still was like, no saying EST. We're going to cheer for Charlotte. Like, he was a diehard Charlotte fan too. So
no cheering for Bianca, you know, but no, hey, that's, you know, that's what I love about going to these wrestling shows is being able to connect. And I was able to connect with so many people similarly when I went to SmackDown a couple weeks ago. Met a lot of cool fans over there. And it definitely sounds like Tomas had a brilliant time at Raw. You know, I'm still jealous you got to see Drew McIntyre, but at the same time, I can kind of rub it in your face that I saw Edge.
Basically, yeah. So it was cool.
Can't wait for more.
Again, no matter how we feel, safe travels to all the WWE wrestlers who are traveling to Saudi Arabia right now. We still will be watching the show. We just won't be reviewing it because we don't believe in the blood money. So for then, we have some retro pay-per-views coming your way with Judgment Day 2003. Judgment Day took place in Charlotte, North Carolina.
It sure
did.
Home
of the Nature Boy, Ric Flair.
Which will get into a big rant for myself later on with Ric Flair's hometown. So, hey guys, if you're new to the channel, definitely smash that subscribe button. We are on the road to 1,000 and counting over here. If you're going to be enjoying all these debates that Tomas and I are bound to get into, I'm sure, hit that thumbs up as well. And as he mentioned, in the place of Crown Jewel, we are going to be doing WrestleMania X7. That was voted by you, my viewers, on Twitter. Thank you so much, everybody who participated. We've got a couple other surprise retro reviews coming up before the end of the year, which I'm super excited to bring to your guys' attention and announce down the line. But what we have here, this was, you know, Judgment Day 2003. The most consistent story was basically the one that we got right after the pyro. Stone Cold Steve Austin's music hits, and he basically says to the crowd, "Listen, I'm not going to waste any more of your time. I'm not going to waste any more of your precious earned money." What? I'm going to go up into that luxury box, and I want
to go up to Redneck Evan.
What? I'm going up to drink some beer, vodka, more whiskey, more beer. So he basically is watching the show like with the fans in the skybox, and every single match, you know, there's like a little, like, I don't want to call it like a promo back in the skybox, but that's basically what it was. Eric Bischoff basically comes in. Who forgot Austin and Bish in the luxury suite? Anybody?
Oh my God, I forgot, but I was so happy to remember it when we got into this.
So funny.
But before we get into that, everyone's probably wondering right now, Stone Cold Steve Austin, didn't you guys just talk about WrestleMania 19? He retired. Yes,
Yep.
he did.
Thank
He
you for
is
bringing this
retired
up.
from in-ring competition, but Austin was not ready to walk away from the business just yet. So they gave him an on-screen role as the co-general manager of Monday Night Raw. This was
Yep.
placed in by Linda McMahon, I think. Linda thought that Bischoff was going a little too power hungry, so she put Austin there basically to even him out. Austin was going to be the good cop. Bischoff was going to be the bad cop. They would
Yeah.
have to work together and basically run Monday Night Raw. They also did put a rule into state that Austin cannot just beat up everybody he wants just because he does not like them. Linda said that Austin must be physically provoked in order to put his hands on any other superstar. So that would come into a huge play later on in the summer. But right now, Austin's the GM, Bischoff is the GM, and we're going to have some hijinks. And we're going to be going into this opening match, which is going to sound random at first, but I'm going to have some thoughts about this match.
Here we
go.
go.
We have John Cena and the full-blooded Italians, who are Chuck Palumbo and Johnny Stamboli, versus Chris Benoit, Rhyno, and Brian Kendrick, a.k.a. Spanky. Wow, what a six-man tag to kick off this show.
Yeah, so the first, aside from Austin, John Cena's music is the first one to hit. And I gotta tell you, man, this rap was not one of his most memorable. His big line was basically, tonight we handing out a special, 2 for 1 black eyes. It's like a mafia movie. I have you cheering the bad guys. And I'm like, yeah.
You know what? If you want to put the comparison between him and Max Caster of today, they both have really good raps, but I'm going to give it to Cena in the originality department. His promos always had to do with what he was doing at the moment. You know, Caster's there for the shock factor. You want to hear what he's going to say. You want to hear what pop culture reference he's going to say. You want to see him, cut a shoot, brother, and which is great and all, but I like Cena's originality here.
Oh, yeah.
He is accompanied by the full-blooded Italians who are Palumbo, Stamboli, Nunzio. If you're an old school fan and you already know what's going to happen, this faction was really just a flash in the pan. But if you look at it in hindsight, the F.B.I. was a pretty big part of SmackDown at this time.
They were.
They're teaming with Cena. They were feuding with The Undertaker. Hell, they had The Undertaker's number. This is what Taker was doing in 03 before, we get into the big angle of the fall. I feel like the F.B.I. could have been bigger, a lot bigger than what it was. And looking how they looked, they had a good look, they had a good gimmick, they had a good everything. But this was just one of those cases where WWE just did not pull the trigger on these guys. Not even a short tag team title run for these guys. These guys were just, now you see them, now you don't. And honestly, it's a damn shame. Because considering who was in SmackDown at the time, you could have made these guys bigger stars than what they already were.
Oh, absolutely. You could have at least elevated to them to the level that they were in their ECW days, because F.B.I. was originally a Paul Heyman ECW concoction, and Nunzio, known back then as Little Guido, was the leader of that faction as well. It was a wider array of wrestlers than ECW's F.B.I., but SmackDown's version had a couple of WWE homegrown talents. You had Johnny Stamboli, who I believe was on Tough Enough, around that time.
Yes.
And Chuck Palumbo, who just got cut away from Billy Gunn. And I completely forgot that Chuck Palumbo always wrestled his matches with a cigar in his mouth.
Yes, I remember that too.
Shit, how did he how does he not choke on that thing?
Exactly, yeah. And if you want to make a modern day equivalent to who I think Palumbo is, Wesley Blake, who just got released from the WWE, reminds me a lot of Palumbo, because Palumbo and Blake went through a lot of gimmick changes. Palumbo started off, with the Billy and Chuck thing. Then he went to the full-blooded Italians, and then he would disappear for the bit. Then he returned as the biker in 2007. 2007, remember that? Now you do. And then you got Blake, who was by himself. Then he joined up with Murphy. Then he became the Hollywood Blonde, and then he was doing the weird zombie gimmick on NXT house shows. Then he was part of the Forgotten Sons. Then he was a Knight of Corbin's Table, and now he's gone. So
he's gone.
When it comes to tag team equivalents, I always compare, or I just realize the relevance of Blake and Palumbo. But their opponents are pretty thrown together. You got Benoit and Rhyno and Kendrick, who just happened to be nothing to do. Kendrick was actually in a little feud with Cena at this point.
Yeah.
which they did highlight before this match.
Yeah, Kendrick was introduced to me as a kid in an open challenge that Kurt Angle had in the build-up to Mania, and I thought that was a very, very good match between Angle and Kendrick. It's a kind of a hidden gem, honestly.
Oh yeah,
but
and the
he
spanking
was
gimmick is basically just Kendrick was this spunky little guy that used to run around backstage. I remember he had an interaction with Sean O'Haire, where O'Haire would recall this commercial that was running on UPN at the time, where this guy would streak naked across the soccer field. It was a very infamous commercial on UPN for some reason, just because I thought it was real as a kid. So O'Haire told Spanky, hey, you know that commercial that runs on UPN of the guy streaking? You want to get some attention here on SmackDown? You should go and streak out to the ring right now. And I remember Kendrick did it, and he interfered a match with the A-Train. The A-Train tried to clothesline him, and Spanky just ran around the ring naked. I know he wasn't really naked, but when you're a kid and you see the little blur around his area, I was like, is he really running around naked there? So Kendrick had a wild start in WWE.
He sure did. And honestly, the Spanky name was giving me serious Shorty G vibes. Remember Chad Gable's short-lived basketball gimmick? You know?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, yeah. So Spanky, he was giving me, serious, it's very, very similar, very, very parallel here.
Yeah.
But
you want another parallel to a modern day, he kind of reminds me of a Marco Stunt as well. Or Marco Stunt reminds me of a Spanky. Just this crazy small guy out there, not too big, but he could fly around like crazy. And this was, in Kendrick's heyday before he would become, the pirate that we know today.
The Brian Kendrick, yeah. It's a little bit bigger than Marco Stunt, just a little bit. But, yeah, so F.B.I. is sending Spanky in orbit. They are throwing him all over the arena. But then very, very quickly, Chris Benoit gets the hot tag, and he already hits a diving headbutt. And I'm like, this match is only going 5 minutes, isn't it? And sure enough,
it's
less
than 4.
Yeah, Spanky gets a blind tag. Nunzio tries to run interference. Rhyno, who did not tag in legally at one time ever within this match, which was so strange. He basically gores Nunzio out of his shoes, and then basically Nunzio is already no-selling the gore to stop the slice bread number 2, which is Spanky's submission hold, or not his submission hold, his finishing hold rather, his falling cravat. And then the F.B.I. hits the kiss of death on Spanky before Bianca Belair made it famous. It's a different...
Exactly. The original KOD is what I wrote down.
Yep, the original KOD. And they basically pin Spanky for a 3 count while Cena is trapped in the crippler crossface. Cena does not tap out to the crippler crossface, though.
Nope. This was a fun opener. Just a really good match to get just to get the crowd going, just to wake them up a bit. Honestly, MVP of this match really is Spanky. He was running around, getting Stella like crazy, doing the big high spots, being part of the finish. Cena had to work him. I noticed that in the beginning. Like, Cena had to work Kendrick a little. And this was just a weird mishmash that you would never see anything like this again on a pay-per-view.
Right.
Benoit is unfortunately still in this mid-card limbo. At the end of this year, that will change. And, Rhino's kind of just there. And Benoit's career would change. And another person on the show when a certain other title gets introduced into the mix. In just a couple months. So hang in there, guys.
We'll get there. But as far as this match goes, I really can't give it more than a 2. It was fun as it was, but it was really too quick to be anything more of value than a serviceable opener. And again, Rhyno did not tag in one time, which I think is a huge issue. I mean, this match, for it to be at least, on the 3-star level, this needed more time. Everything felt so rushed. I mean,
you could have doubled the time and it would have been better.
A suggestion to double the time. Maybe you could have trimmed out the bikini challenge between Tori and Sable. Maybe.
I'm looking at the match right now, and that doesn't even get a timestamp.
Nope.
That's how irrelevant that was.
That got at least 15 minutes, though. I fast-forwarded through that bikini challenge just to kind of bury the lead there. Tori Wilson and Sable were both dueling former Playboy cover girls, and they have a bikini challenge on pay-per-view. Because why not?
What? Since we're talking about it all right now, I'm just going to give my thoughts on that angle. Right now, the Tori and Dawn Marie stuff was more entertaining.
Yeah. Yeah, because it was like at least a soap opera stupid angle that I could laugh at.
Exactly.
This was
Don't get me wrong, it was stupid, but I at least it was funny, fun to watch, and at least Tori it got to work with her dad on TV. So that's always a plus.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, when you're pressed for time like I was today, I skipped that. Bikini challenge too.
Skipped it. Just absolutely. That's one thing you can fast forward on this show. But
yeah, and I'm gonna say this right now, talking about burying the lead. This is one of 3 bright spots in this show because it's gonna start going all downhill from here.
Well, I mean, we also have the Steve Austin and Eric Bischoff stuff in the skybox. This is the point where he offers This is the point where he offers Eric Bischoff a hot dog, and Eric Bischoff is just like livid at this point. He's like, "Do you realize what's in this stuff?" And I'm like, "Goodness is what's in that sandwich right now."
Exactly. Yeah.
Because a hot dog is a sandwich. I'm not going to take any other like opinions about that currently. It's totally.
But yeah, when you're in an arena like I was last night, and you're with a bunch of people, trust me, nothing tastes better than a Coke and a hot dog. And you're exerting a lot of energy. So shut up, Bischoff. You are at a wrestling show. You're not at a 5-star restaurant. Eat the damn hot dog.
Yeah,
that probably cost $8.
Eat the damn hot dog, because your next match really isn't going to get any better. It's a very interesting tag team match on paper. You have the team that Stacy Keibler assembled between Test and Scott Steiner, of all people, going up against La Resistance, the Frenchies. I'm so excited to talk about La Resistance. First of all, great, amazing theme for La Resistance. I love this theme song for them. And they they were totally warranted in being they have like certain heat with the fans who just hate them because they're French. And I'm like, you're right. Why should we hate La Resistance?
Exactly.
Because of the
Remember my rant about hating Canada earlier this year? This goes into the same about French people. Why do we as a country hate French people so much?
Yeah.
Why? So, I know a lot of French people. They're cool.
They really are, including, I'm sure Rene Dupree was a cool guy, who was, by the way, Dupree, only 19 years old at the time of this pay-per-view, which is fucking wild. Yeah, and the reason, wild. I do that math because, the next year he would be drafted over to SmackDown when they split up La Resistance, not to bury the lead or anything, but they did say Rene Dupree was, 20 years old when he was drafted to SmackDown, so that means I was like, holy shit, he must have been, 19 years old when this pay-per-view was going on.
Yeah, Grenier and Dupree are making their pay-per-view debut. They went into this with a lot of, WWE was wanting to push these guys. They were kind of making them into the top heel tag team in the division. But let me ask you something. How do you build up a top heel tag team? You put them against 2 fucking douchebags in Steiner and Test. And this is where I'm going to get into my rant.
Yeah.
What were Steiner and Test doing the last time we saw them on pay-per-view?
What were they doing? Steiner was checking on Stacy, who was fighting with Tori in the back, and Tess was cheating on on Stacy rather with Tori.
And then getting mad because Steiner was checking on her, and then Steiner, you're not off the hook, buddy. You put Stacy down and walked away like an asshole.
Fucking
so
douchebag, Steiner.
What do you do when you're Stacy Keibler and you got your abusive, cheating boyfriend and this asshole buffhead dude in Steiner? Why you put them together? Why not?
Why not? Yeah.
Total baby faces. Total fucking baby faces.
Total baby faces. Total baby faces. Which I mean, you hate all random tag teams, like Hulk Hogan and Edge. But anyway,
I do. Hey, I cheered for RK Bro last night.
yeah, that's fair enough. But so the bell rings, and then the crowd immediately starts chanting USA when Test is in the ring. Do you think someone should tell them? Yeah, you think someone should tell them the Test was from Canada?
Yeah.
If Steiner was in the ring at that point, a USA chant would have made sense, but it was fucking Test. He's not off the hook. He's Canadian,
Let's wait until next year when Benoit and Edge are fighting La Resistance and they start chanting USA when all 4 of those guys are Canadian.
Oh my God. I forgot about that match. I can't wait to get to that now. But honestly, you want to know who the MVP of this match was for me? All things considered, it was Test, because he did some really was really doing some nice things in this match. He was absolutely vicious. He was basically fighting both of these Frenchies by himself. Rene Dupree was doing the French tickler, which is the first time we see it on one of these pay-per-views. And I got to gush about this French tickler for a minute. As a kid, I loathed the La Resistance, but I wanted to learn how to do the French tickler. So I was just like hopping around from side to side, like as he was doing it. And I remember like when we were ordering these pay-per-views and my dad was like, "Why are you dancing to the French guy?"
Because it's the French tickler, Dad.
It's the French tickler, So.
Oh, I remember that too. And you know what? I think JR said it best in this match. Test has unlimited potential. Thank you, JR. He does. And when you gave up on him in 1999 and 2001 and 2002, and you had like 5 opportunities to do something with Test. I don't know if he had heat backstage, but I don't get how you can pull the plug on this guy so many times.
Yeah.
When in the ring, he has proved himself more than enough.
Yeah, more than enough to be better than Scott Steiner, who was unusually, not... God, let's just say that Steiner was very, very clunky. This is a guy who is challenging for the World Championship 3 months prior to this. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. He is second match on the card. There is a double team suplex, and I think Scott Steiner fell asleep. And then there's heat on him. And yeah, again, I got to give Test credit where it's due. May he rest in peace. Bless his heart for trying to carry this angle with Steiner, but like, oh man,
damn, exactly. Carried his angle. I think he carried this match, actually, all things considered. When it really came to the one-on-one stuff, La Resistance, I will say they have excellent tag team chemistry. Like I said, these guys are on their way to being the top heel tag team in WWE right now. And if this was their audition match, I think they passed with flying colors.
They absolutely did.
What they were given, this was a fun match.
It really was. Yeah, Tess did wear the beret at one point, which again, because they're French, to really drive the point home, Vince McMahon has Rene Dupree and Sylvain Grenier trot out to the ring with berets on their heads. Can you get any more obvious?
Bad people.
But Tessa does hit a pump handle slam, and the referee was distracted by Scott Steiner, who was flirting with Stacy Keibler and checking on her. And I'm like, okay, so how is Tess not the babyface in this situation? Because Steiner is taking his chick away, and like,
because he's a cheating bastard. That's why.
Okay, yeah, that's true. That's true. But a lot of people would have forgotten the Tess cheated at Backlash, but it's. Yeah, so Tess hits a big boot on Scott Steiner for his troubles, and then La Resistance hits a double team choke slam on Steiner, which I believe would turn out to be their finisher. And thank God Steiner was the one who got pinned, because if it was Tess instead, God, that would not have made me happy. But I mean, this is a 1 3/4 match. Everybody not named Scott Steiner was doing some fine work in this match. Bless their hearts. But
oh yeah, real quick, back to the opener. I give the opener 2 1/4. I give this a 1.5. This was mainly Test trying to fight a tag team by itself. Steiner sucks. I hate this tag team. And you know what? It's going to barely now. It's going to get worse from here. We're not out of the woods when it comes to this
it's
angle.
all downhill from here. We got a couple more pay-per-views with Tess and Scott Steiner.
Yeah, from a all right tag team match to something very
wait. Can I touch on this Mr. America angle before you introduce this match? Okay, so we see Mr. America, Mr. America, otherwise known as Hulk Hogan, under a mask, obviously. Even though
no, it's not.
Even though he's saying it's not Hulk Hogan.
Who's Hulk Hogan? I don't know who you're talking about.
He is approached by Gregory Helms, Ace reporter, and he's like, I hear that Mr. America is denying the fact that he's Hulk Hogan. What's up with that? And obviously in the hurricane tone, and Hogan ends up saying, like, I hear that a certain reporter turns out to be this superhero. What's up with that, dude? Who forgot this?
This was a very short-lived thing that I wish they would have went. You know what? If they wanted to go with the very cartoony superhero gimmick with Hurricane, they should have kept up the alter ego.
Yeah.
That would have made his promos a lot more fun.
And plus, like, Spider-Man was just getting popular at the box office, and I'm sure it was selling like all these like DVD copies like hotcakes. But like, God, yeah, I forgot about this Gregory Helms stint as the reporter. Definitely was
Unless he
short-lived.
did it on a few episodes of SmackDown or Raw. I forgot what show he was on. This is the only time I ever saw this.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But anyway, you were mentioning this next tag team match. What do we got?
All right. As we talked about at Backlash, Los Guerreros, Eddie and Chavo were not able to defeat the world's greatest tag team, Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin, for the WWE tag team titles. Eddie and Chavo would end up stealing the belts, and they would end up holding the belts hostage. I think Stephanie told them, look, guys, you're not the tag team champions. You have to give the titles back to Haas and Benjamin. They would give the titles back to Haas and Benjamin, but they would punk them out again and then steal the gold medals and the picture of Kurt Angle that we were talking about.
They absolutely would.
Exchange back for the medals. Haas and Benjamin granted Los Guerreros one more chance at the WWE Tag Team titles, this time in a ladder match. Unfortunately, 1 week before the show, Chavo would injure himself at a house show. I think it was a European tour. They talked about Chavo would not be wrestling this match. It's very bittersweet, but in Chavo's place would be
Tajiri. Yoshihiro Tajiri. And Chavo, I feel like I should point out, I believe he had a torn triceps from the match that he had. And they were talking about, they were talking on commentary and they were getting very real about it. And they were like, Chavo, we're so happy to hear your surgery went well. We'll talk about Chavo again in a few months, I'm sure. But yes, Eddie Guerrero and Tajiri. Tajiri comes in to replace him. And Eddie, who's got Chavito written on his wrist tape in honor of Chavo, brings in Tajiri, introduces him as his substitute. And Tajiri is already, feeling the Guerrero gimmick. He's wearing one of Kurt Angle's, prized medals, and he's like, we lie, we cheat, we steal, ese! And I'm like,
I love
this
it.
is amazing. This is amazing.
The stipulation going into this match, Haas and Benjamin told Eddie, you either are going to fight us 2-on-1 or you're going to forfeit the match. So Eddie went and found his tag team partner. Tajiri was not introduced until literally this segment for this match. So they try to play it off like Haas and Benjamin were going in at a disadvantage. Yep. We just talked about making fun of random tag teams. As bittersweet as this was, I liked Eddie and Tajiri.
They were a fun tandem. They really were. And they had a sort of a little mini feud, once they would eventually lose the tag team titles. Spoiler alert. But they definitely had some very fun chemistry. And they worked well together in this match. All four of these guys. If you want another spoiler, this was my match of the night, Tomas. I don't know about you.
Oh, mine too.
But this was easily the most fun I had watching a match on this show in what was the first of many ladder matches in the career of Shelton Benjamin, especially in the Ruthless Aggression era. And it didn't exactly hit me that this was the first ladder match that Shelton had until they announced it on commentary. They were like, Team Angle's never been in a ladder match before. And I'm like, holy shit, Michael Cole, you're right for once. Team Angle hasn't been in a ladder match,
I know there's a lot of wrestlers on this show that have this, decree to them, but it's crazy looking at Benjamin in 2003 and then seeing him in 2021 still doing his thing in WWE. Pretty cool.
Yeah, Hurt Business just got back together. But Tajiri, there were so many great spots in this match. Tajiri hits a handspring elbow as Team Angle is climbing the ladder and it knocks it over. There's a baseball slide with a ladder right into Charlie Haas's dick, and he is hurting. I felt that shot so badly, as a man especially. Eddie does that tope con hilo that he does over the ropes, that majestic flip that he did onto a ladder sandwich, which could not have felt good. Shelton hits a T-bone suplex, which would become his finisher to Eddie Guerrero on a ladder. There was just so much going on. It was a lot of fun to watch. Charlie Haas, though, I got to talk about him for a second, even though, I've heard he's not the most likable personality in real life from people who have met him, but he was getting abused in this match. He was all over the place. He got that baseball slide. He was taking all these big spots. And he was taking a lot of nasty landings too. But who would you say that the MVP of this match was out of the four?
Out of the four, I think I'm going to have to say probably Eddie. Eddie was the workhorse in this match. He was one pulling off the big spots. I feel like at one point, he did hit Benjamin with a sunset flip powerbomb off of the ladder. And just looking at that, that's ouch. You see the whiplash, and with the force and the velocity, that's a nasty move. I feel like Out of all the ladder spots, that's got to be one of the nastier ones.
And I feel like Eddie was doing that in all these ladder matches that he'd be doing, and especially in the Ruthless Aggression era. Like, he had that ladder match with Van Dam on Raw the year before for the IC title. He had that no disqualification match with Edge, which we did talk about on this pod a couple months back. Hit the sunset flip in both of those, and it was just as majestic here as it was over in those couple matches. But don't discredit Tajiri, though, because I really enjoyed his performance here. Sick kicks, Japanese buzzsaw for a reason. For once, the tarantula actually makes sense to use.
Yep, no disqualifications in this match.
No fucking disqualifications. Tajiri could have held that thing for as long as he wanted to. It was broken up by Shelton Benjamin and a ladder, which could not have been comfortable for Tajiri's back. But it basically, yeah, you hit Eddie's sunset flip powerbomb, which I believe was on Charlie Haas, because Shelton was actually climbing the ladder to stop Eddie Guerrero. Tajiri climbs up the other side. Green miss to Shelton, who sells it like he was freaking shot by a shotgun. And Eddie climbs up and gets the belts and hands one to Tajiri. You got new tag team champions. What an upset this was. What an upset.
Absolutely. It looked, obviously, Los Guerreros were going to take these titles. And I'm glad that WWE saw that travel wasn't there. And they still went through with it. Because like I said, Eddie and Tajiri would have a short-lived but a pretty fun run as the tag team champions. And they got a huge pop for it. They were all, not only was this the match of the night, this was the feel-good moment of the night as well.
It really was. This is a 4-star match, and my hidden gem alert for right now. If you haven't seen this tag team ladder match at Judgment Day 2003, if nothing else on this show, definitely make an effort to go and see this thing. But what we have next is another segment where Eric Bischoff is in the skybox with Steve Austin, sipping the beer. And Steve Austin is just calling him a sissy the whole way through. And, Eric is just like, he continues sipping it, and Austin shows him, what? This is how you drink a beer, son. And then he does his thing that he usually does. And then you also, they're just eating hamburgers in there, which again is going to
And
play
if you guys can't read in between the lines, and you kind of already see what Austin is trying to do to Bischoff, and more on that later. Next up. Yes, next
I know you want to talk about this.
Next up, WWE finally came to their fucking senses, and they brought back the Intercontinental title.
Thank you.
Never should have left in the first place.
Thank you.
What are you going to have these mid-card guys do when they're not challenging for a world title? You can't put everyone in a personal feud. You have to have a mid-card title. You have to have something like that. Intercontinental title is too prestigious. That was a big mistake. WWE never do that again. No. I don't think they will at this point, but never do that again. It was only less than a year that they retired the Intercontinental title. Stone Cold Steve Austin brought it back. They played the exact same promo package they did they did retire the tag team title. I mean, the Intercontinental title. We have a 9-man battle royal coming up. One of the participants is Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho is backstage, and he is confronted. Honestly, if this was 10 years ago, or no, not even, I want to say like 7 years ago, I would have loved to see this match, because he is confronted by Rowdy, Roddy, Piper. And looking at that, it's like, damn, if both these guys were in their prime, I'd love to see that match.
If only.
Yeah.
Jericho was in his prime, and unfortunately, as we'll talk about, Roddy Piper was in pretty rough shape at this stage of his life. But yeah, Jericho is one of the participants, and you have Kane, you have Booker T, you have my boy Christian Cage, you have Goldust, you have Test, who's working double duty. Again, props to him. He might have been the MVP of this whole pay-per-view, if you ask me. But you have Test, you have Lance Storm, this all-star cast of former IC champions, and the one and only Val Venis, the former Chief Morley, who Eric Bischoff did fire. Stone Cold reinstates Val Venis. He makes his entrance. Hello, ladies. And Bischoff is pissed. Visibly pissed. But
this match was basically, let's throw all of Triple H's victims from the past year into a battle royal and make them fight for the Intercontinental title. You got Jericho, you got RVD, you got Kane, you got Booker T. Booker T was the fan favorite of the night. Booker T got the pop of the night. Booker T, they were cheering for Booker T. Okay. Let's bury the lead right now. I didn't like this match at all. The match
Yeah,
starts, and they turn Kane into a chump. They all
they
gang up
did.
on him right at the beginning, and they immediately dump him out.
Well,
Way to make
Kane,
Kane look like a chump.
yeah, Kane did dump Lance Storm, but then Kane was like eliminated right after that. Him and Van Dam were fighting each other, even though they were the tag team champions. And obviously, if they were already holding a belt, they probably weren't going to win this revived belt, if you will. But it is very, very quickly down to the final four of Chris Jericho, Christian, Booker T, and Goldust.
And I'm just going to say this now. If that was the case, I think it should have just been a fatal forward with these guys.
Yeah, because these guys have worked some stellar tag team matches, which we've talked about in these past few months on these pods. And they work wonders together. And that's exactly what they did in this Final Four. Jericho and Christian both get shattered dreams. And then shortly after that, Booker T tosses his friend Goldust right the fuck over the top rope. And I'm sure the crowd was not very happy to see Booker and Goldust. And Goldust was like, oh, I get it. You have to do what you have to do. Every man for himself. But
very good sportsmanship there.
Yeah.
It's down to 2-on-1. Christian turns on Jericho and eliminates him from this match.
He does.
And then this is where the bullshit comes in. And I have a huge problem with this finish. So the ref gets taken out by Christian's baseball slide dropkick. And the first thing I think is, aren't there usually 4 referees around the ring during these battle royals? Why is it being left up to one guy? So there's red flag number 1.
Yep.
Red flag number 2. Booker eliminates Christian from the match. Pat Patterson was ringside because he is the first ever Intercontinental Champion to present the title. If the referee was down, and if Patterson is this guest of honor and he's the former Intercontinental Champion, all this stuff, I think Patterson kind of has some seniority, and I think Patterson has some power to call the match, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because Booker's music hits. Everybody's seen that Booker has won the match. Patterson goes to give the title to Booker T. Christian throws a temper tantrum. He punches Patterson in the face. He blasts Booker with the title. The referee's getting up. Christian then throws Booker T out of the ring. The ref must have gotten hit so hard that he was knocked out cold. Christian wins the match, and he's the new Intercontinental Champion. This was such a stupid finish.
That creepy little bastard got the Intercontinental Championship, and it's going to turn into a very fun heel run for Christian through the summer because he would cut his hair after this, and he would actually turn into the CLB at this point. The crowd would start chanting CLB at him at some point soon.
Oh, yeah, and also, wasn't he befriending The Rock a little?
He was. That's where the Peeps thing came in. He was having these altercations with The Rock, who was a movie star at that point, making just sporadic appearances on the highlight reel, doing the spin-a-rooney in the middle of the ring. And Christian would be like, I'm the new people's champion. I'm going to do this for all my peeps out here. And he's looking out there. And then
my favorite part of that is when, he looked at The Rock as a mentor. And when The Rock would come back later in the year, Christian would go up to him and The Rock said, who in the blue hell are you? Like, what do you mean? We were friends. I cut my hair like you. And Rock was like, I don't know who the hell you are. And it was so funny because he was basically pretending like he didn't know who Christian was.
Exactly. Well, Christian, it was kind of jarring to see him cut his hair, and I'm sure we'll get into this like more and more especially as we go towards Bad Blood. But
when Booker T is still the most over babyface on the roster,
I know,
because I know what they're gonna do next month.
This motherfucker was on the poster for Judgment Day, like like he was.
They should have put the title on him. And if you were going to put the title on him, you didn't have to do this on super God, it makes my head hurt just thinking about it.
Well,
I didn't really like this match. I gave it a 1.5 stars.
Really?
This was not a good battle royal.
I gave it 2.5. I thought it was,
and that's fair.
Fantastic second half for sure, but the first half, once again, because of this damn bikini challenge, which would come on after this match. Like, they were forced to cut down on this, and they were forced to condense the first half considerably. There were eliminations left and right. Val Venis was treated like a chump on his return. But, they basically... The finish is, like, a classic, like, WWE pre-Attitude Era style finish, because any of my old school fans watching this might remember Royal Rumble 1997 in the Alamo Dome. That was the first time the famous Stone Cold Steve Austin won the Royal Rumble match. but he wanted entering number 5. But you'll remember that Bret the Hitman Hart tossed Austin out of the ring, but the refs were too distracted by a fight that was going on the outside, so they did not see Austin get dumped. So Austin would take advantage, dump Bret over the top, and then Bret would scream, "This is bullshit," or something like that. You know? But Booker could not say this is bullshit on the air on pay-per-view, but it's a recycled ending, and Christian celebrates like mad after throwing a temper tantrum, but I don't know. Yeah, Booker should have gotten this title.
It was just very poorly executed the way they did it, and I get what you're saying, but at the same time, go back to '97. Bret didn't need to win the Royal Rumble. That was Austin's year. This was Booker's match, and it was unnecessary.
Yes, absolutely unnecessary. Just like the angle coming up next to Tomas. What's this match we have here?
Oh, okay. So, okay, we have to do the backstory before I go into what's happening.
Oh my cock and balls! Where do we begin?
Hulk Hogan, after his epic encounter with Mr. McMahon at WrestleMania, was just randomly fired just because. So Hogan would leave, but they were running promos for a brand new wrestler named Mr. America. I remember seeing this as a kid, and I was pretty damn excited because, new wrestlers are a new thing to me. I don't know who this guy is. Who's Mr. America? They were hyping it up. He was going to be the main event segment of SmackDown. Vince was hyping up, was like, this Mr. America guy's like 7 foot tall. It's Hulk Hogan in a mask.
It really is.
And here's the thing. They were trying to play it off like this was not Hulk Hogan. Well, you know what?
This is not Hulk Hogan, brother.
Let's play stupid for a minute and say that this is not Hulk Hogan. Well, you know what? This Mr. America is using Hulk Hogan's theme song. He's using Hulk Hogan's poses. He's using Hulk Hogan's moves. If I was Hulk Hogan, I would sue this motherfucker in a minute for stealing everything that I worked for.
Down to the very last detail. But Mr. America has said many times, especially during the infamous lie detector test segment on SmackDown, that he was not Hulk Hogan, which can we talk about this lie detector test real quick?
Yeah, because I remember it vividly.
Okay.
So they basically asked Mr. America if he was Hogan. He said no. Apparently he wasn't lying.
I know Deadlock talks about this a lot, but apparently Hogan lost a match the week before, and the stipulation was if he lost, Mr. America would have to take a lie detector test, which the big question would be, Mr. America, are you Hulk Hogan? And he's like, I need a drink of water. That's not a truth serum, Hogan. That's just water. It was just so ridiculous. So he's no.
I remember then they strapped Vince to the test, and then Mr. America said, were you in the back earlier today looking at Tori Wilson's naked butt in Playboy? And I'm just like, what are we, 5 years old?
Oh my God. No, honestly, the Vince part of the lie detector test when he's strapped into it makes the segment so great. Say what you want about Vince these days. He's a fucking lunatic in the way he's booking things, but
anywho,
so fucking entertaining.
Piper's Pit happens, and Sean O'Hare and Piper are beating up Mr. America. Mr. America had given a flag to a young fan in the ring. This fan jumped in the ring to help Mr. America, and Piper ripped his leg off. It was a prosthetic leg. This is Zack Gowen, ladies and gentlemen. The infamous one-legged wrestler.
My namesake, even though his first name is spelled incorrectly. But yeah,
agreed.
Roddy Piper tore off Zack Gowen's prosthetic leg. Roddy Piper has a fantastic sell. Go back and watch that Piper's Pit. After he pulled off Gowen's leg, he's like, I didn't do this. He puts the leg down casually, and he just leaves. He's like, I don't know what to do here. But basically, they cut to the back, and Roddy Piper is the one wrestling Mr. America. He's handpicked by Vince McMahon to expose Mr. America to the world. But Vince did say something that really, really resonated with me. Without Roddy Piper, there would be no Hulk Hogan. And I'm like, yeah,
he's right.
Hogan is to Batman what Piper is to the Joker, basically.
Absolutely, I agree.
It's interchangeable. It's a classic
Yeah,
80s
but
rivalry.
you know what? I don't want to see Hulk Hogan wrestle Roddy Piper in 2003.
No.
This match was not good.
It really was not. The highlight of this match, honestly, was during Roddy Piper's entrance. It cuts to the crowd and it says, "Piper, you're pulling my leg" on one of these signs. Fucking hell. Which honestly is a perfect segue because Mr. America does introduce the fan as Zack Gowen, who will become very important on SmackDown through the summer of 2003. His scowls were the stuff of not great acting legends. You know, this kid was kind of thrown into the deep end, before he could swim with the sharks.
Yeah, and, he's working with Hogan right off the bat. Holy shit.
He really is.
There was one point in the match where Mr. America puts Piper on the top rope, and this is where the inconsistency comes in. He's punching Piper in the middle of his 10 count. He pulls up his mask, and he looks at the fans and goes, shh. And then Michael Cole and Taz have to sell it like they didn't just see his face, and the referee was right there. And Piper is right there.
Taz was like, did you get a good look, Cole? And I'm like, are you serious? It's clearly fucking Hulk Hogan there. But
oh my God.
They continue onward. Hogan makes his comeback, and then Vince comes out before the leg drop that Piper did not execute on SmackDown with Zack Gowen's leg. But I'm sorry, that was terrible. That was terrible.
That was a good one.
But, in any case, Piper hits a low blow. Vince hands Sean O'Haire, who's in Piper's corner, a lead pipe. Orders Sean O'Haire to go into the ring. Vince is distracting the official, and O'Haire accidentally hits Roddy Piper with the lead pipe. Hogan hits the atomic leg drop for the merciful 3 count. Bless Roddy Piper's heart here. He really did not look good. And Hogan really did not look good in this match either. But the big highlight of this match was Vince trying to prevent the 3 count and Zack Gowen holding Vince back from doing it. The kid had guts. See you at Vengeance. We'll talk about that. But yeah, this match, it's a dud. No stars.
It is.
But basically, not very memorable.
Yeah. Just this. I don't know what's up. You basically took the words right out of my mouth. This match was a dud.
Yeah.
We would mercifully be put out of this storyline by the beginning of the summer.
Mm-hmm.
But
when Hogan would leave the company due to creative differences, this is the last time that Hogan was on pay-per-view before he was inducted into the Hall of Fame, oddly enough, as Mr. America. So take that as you will. That is a very strange statement for me. But, oh boy, the pay-per-view really doesn't get much better here, does it? Because for the World Heavyweight Championship, Hunter Hearst Helmsley, man, is defending against the big diesel truck known as Kevin Nash, who miraculously does not tear his quad on the way down to the ring. But this match,
First of all, when do the people in people's corners get an entrance? Because Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair got entrances
because
for some
they're
reason.
in Flair's hometown. And they're going to fucking screw the Charlotte fans in just a moment, because what happened is Nash would interrupt Hunter's entrance, and then Flair and Michaels would get involved. Flair and Michaels would start fighting each other, and they were told to go to the back. The hometown hero was ejected before the bell of his match even rang.
I feel like, okay, I know they just did this at Backlash. They wanted Michaels and Flair to be involved. And knowing how this match went, I know we just did this at Backlash, so this should have just been a fucking tag match.
Yeah, or at the very least, a fatal 4-way. Because at least you get Flair in the ring in his hometown. You know what I mean? Like,
so let's bury the lead right now. Nothing happens in this match.
Absolutely nothing. Kevin Nash drops 3 elbows on Hunter. The match is very slow. Both Hunter and Nash are abusing Earl Hebner throughout this. How are these all not disqualifications early on? Kevin Nash hits the exposed turnbuckle, which Triple H tore off. The crowd cheers. Nash is the face. There's a pedigree on Nash for 2. The crowd is begging for death at that point. But then
I want to say this match was probably just a hair better than Triple H and Steiner, both matches. Just a hair.
I would rather watch this match over both the Steiner matches any day of the week.
Oh, yeah, but
you know?
The same amount. I don't know what it was about Triple H matches during this time, but they were just boring.
They really were.
This match was boring.
Yeah. Basically the most memorable spot of this match was afterwards, because Hunter grabs a sledgehammer from under the ring, and then he slugs Earl Hebner with it as he tries to take it away from Hunter. And Earl Hebner does not ring the bell. You hear a bell sound while Earl is down on the canvas, and the crowd is pissed off because they got a dud match. Keep in mind, for those of you keeping score at home, this is the second of 4 World Heavyweight title defenses from Triple H within the past 5 pay-per-views that we've done. 2 of them have ended in disqualification.
Yeah.
Think about that for a minute, guys. Think about it. I'll let you simmer with that. But, yeah, it basically gets to a point where Nash is beating the shit out of Triple H, like, all over ringside. Ric Flair tries to intervene because it's his hometown, and WWE realized that they screwed the fans in Charlotte by not giving them enough flair. Nash basically puts Flair down. Nash hits a jackknife powerbomb through the announce table, and, yeah, that plays into next month. Bad Blood, Hell in a Cell.
Yeah. Half a star.
Yawn. I gave it a star for effort from Triple H, I suppose, and for the announce table spot. But
this match wasn't a match. It was there for advancement of the storyline.
Yeah.
This was boring.
The match was
half a star.
Very, very basic for sure, unfortunately. But
jackknife after the match was nasty as fuck. But that wasn't part of the match.
That was a sick landing Triple H took, like on his like upper vertebra, like right on the like hood of the announce desk. It was a nasty, nasty spill Triple H took. But yeah, I mean, it won't get much better with Hell in a Cell. I'll just say that much, just to bury the lead. But what we have next is Eric Bischoff in the skybox. Once again, he's eating burgers, he's eating hot dogs, he's drunken so much beer. He's saying he's from Minnesota when he's actually from Michigan. He is, drunk out of his shoes. And, he's been eating pizza in his pockets. Stone Cold has been feeding him hot peppers. It's just, it's fun. And gets to a point where Bischoff hurls on the fans.
Poor fans.
Poor fans, which warrants an instant replay, which I laughed and I laughed and I laughed at the fact that it was just an instant replay of this. So what can you do? What can you do? It was funny. It was funny.
Fun little storyline.
Yeah. But speaking of fun, what do we have next?
We have a fatal 4-way match for the WWE Women's Championship.
Yes.
Trish Stratus, Jacqueline, Jazz, and Victoria adding a little.
Where is Victoria's theme? Where is it?
I know.
Give it to me.
But basically, just adding a little more of a different vibe from the WrestleMania match, adding Jacqueline to the mix. Which I freaking love her. She is fantastic. She is super underrated.
Yeah.
This was a fun little match.
It really was. It really was. There was a nice do-si-do little segment with Trish and Jackie as they team up on the heels. Jazz is seething at Victoria, throwing her all over the ring. She's like, "Come here, you psycho bitch." And I'm like, yes, that's a great quote. But 2 glam slams. There's a nice transition from a chick kick to an STF. Jackie puts a single leg crab on Victoria at the same time. So it's basically like a turtle race. Like whoever can reach the ropes first. Like Jazz has Trish in one submission hold and Jackie has Victoria in another one. And it's like, who can tap out first? That's a really neat idea that I don't exactly remember happening in this. But Trish does reach the ropes. Jazz with the presence of mind. I would say Jazz was for sure the MVP of this match. She boots Jacqueline out of the single leg crab immediately. And she puts the STF onto Victoria right after that. Beautiful. Beautiful psychology. Jazz really does not get enough credit.
Oh, no.
So underrated.
Her and Jacqueline don't get enough credit. And I feel like they both showed off a fair amount of talent in this match.
Yeah, but can I just do a quick little rant about something? Trish basically does her Matrix thing, like ducking under in that spider crawl thing. And the goddamn Jerry Lawler was like, Trish just got reloaded. And I'm like, fuck you, Jerry Lawler. That Matrix movie sucks. You know? Like, the first Matrix movie is the only one worth watching until Resurrections comes out in a couple months. Like, Reloaded and Revolutions, I fell asleep during both of those pieces of shit. So that is why the first Matrix is the only one on the shelf behind me. But in any regard, there is a chick kick. There are two stratospheres. Trish goes for a Stratisfaction. She's a House of Fire. There is a nasty landing as Victoria tosses her outside. But then Jazz basically hits a DDT on Jackie, and that's it. This is a 2.25 star match. I really liked it. You know.
Oh yeah, same here. It was fun. It was a nice little palate cleanser between all the crap that we got on this show.
Definitely good psychology, sound wrestling throughout. Not too much to complain about. It just needed more time. Like, imagine if this match got 15 minutes.
Oh, it'd be amazing.
Imagine if this match got 15 minutes. I would have at least reached 3.5 stars because all four of those ladies are great wrestlers. So there you go. As the palate cleanser between Hunter and Nash in the main event, like, didn't feel like a palate cleanser. But up next, Tomas, is our main event of the evening. It is for the WWE Championship. Brock Lesnar is defending once again against the Large Performance. And it's the first stretcher match under the WWE banner in 17 years. And if there's one word to describe the stretcher match, they chose a good word for it: barbaric.
Oh, yeah.
Barbaric. This match was chaos from the
This match was really fun. All things considered. You know, we've talked about the last two matches that Big Show and Lesnar had. The one at Survivor Series, the one at Royal Rumble. They both got like 5 minutes apiece. These guys got a solid 15 minutes, and I can't believe I'm saying this. This was good.
This was their best.
This
was their best match that we've talked about so far. I had the most fun watching this.
Storyline-wise, they're building off the fact that Big Show is a fucking monster, just like he always should be booked as. He's talking about how he took Rey Mysterio out of commission, and now that he's done that, he's no more messing around. He wants his WWE Championship back, so he is challenging Lesnar for it, and he wants to do the same thing he did to Mysterio to Lesnar. He wants to annihilate him.
I believe the video package actually did say that Lesnar was the one who suggested the stretcher match, which is interesting. I don't remember that part of it, but basically, Big Show comes out, and his little backboard that he used to put Rey Mysterio out of commission, his backboard has a kill list on it, and Rey Mysterio's name is crossed out on it. Right underneath it is Lesnar, and it is yet to be crossed off because he has yet to put Lesnar on a stretcher and carry him out of the arena. But, you know, the commentators are, of course, obligatory putting it over. How can anyone lift up the Big Show on a stretcher? He weighs
Lesnar hasn't already done that.
He weighs 600,000 pounds.
Yeah,
you know, obviously not that much, but you know, that's what it felt like they were saying. And Taz, of course, with the call of the night. Well, here comes the pain.
Every single time he did his entrance, I loved it.
Every single fucking time, you know. And both of these guys they're giants, obviously, and they're just throwing around this thick fiberglass backboard, which I don't know if anybody's an EMT watching this, but those are heavy fucking backboards. And these two guys are swinging that motherfucker around like it weighs nothing. Like it's a steel chair, honestly, like a really long steel chair. So it was a lot of fun to watch. There was a huge choke slam early on, and I was like, there's no way the match is going to end that quickly. I don't remember the match like going like that short, but basically I mean, Brock was, again, it's just so jarring to see him as the white meat babyface, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. And I feel like this was, when you talk about white meat babyface, this is probably the hottest white hot he's been in his babyface streak.
Yeah.
That would all change in a couple of months, but more on that later.
Later.
Lesnar is basically on the top of the world at this point, on SmackDown as the top babyface. Mm-hmm. He's basically Superman at this point.
He really is.
You know, the Big Show is the big baddie that's got to go down, and that's what Lesnar was trying to do in this match. He was fighting for the honor of Rey Mysterio in this match.
He's fighting for the honor of Rey Mysterio, fighting for all these motherfuckers Big Show took out with his stretcher. But basically, also, I find it really impressive that they were pulling off moves and Big Show was bouncing off of those stretchers at ringside that they were fucking trampolines. Like, oh my word. It was a car wreck. It was basically just a car wreck is what we watched. But Lesnar swinging off the jungle gym, which I didn't even mention, that jungle gym as an entrance stage. That was super cool. You have the barrels of fire everywhere. Lesnar is like swinging off the bars and drop kicking Big Show off of them.
Oh yeah.
But then
The
Lesnar
vanilla gorilla he is.
So it gets to a point where Brock Lesnar gets an idea. He looks at the crowd and he's like, me Brock Lesnar, me smart. He goes back there and Big Show is laid out in the ring. For some reason, the music of Rey Mysterio hits. But Rey Mysterio is back full time and he sneaks up on Big Show. Wouldn't have been like a better sneak up if like his music didn't hit at all. Like,
well, that was to distract Big Show, so he'd be looking at the entrance ramp. Mysterio came from behind, and I don't know what the hell Mysterio was planning on doing, but he springs off the ropes and he's immediately caught in a choke slam.
yeah,
And he is hit with the choke slam. But that was a distraction
it
because
sure
Lesnar
was.
comes back out with a fucking forklift.
With the forklifts. Okay, this was one of my most memorable moments watching live pay-per-views as a kid. I thought Brock busting through that thing with a forklift was so cool.
Oh,
Keep
yeah.
in mind,
I forgot to mention that, too. I ordered this pay-per-view live, too. So this is probably the only thing I remember, other than Nash powerbombing Triple H through the table.
and to an extent, the ladder match as well. But
Oh, yeah.
Brock, like, I wasn't someone who was watching wrestling growing up in the Attitude Era, so I did not watch Raw live when Austin busted through with the beer truck, and subsequently when Angle busted through in Sacramento, of all places, with the milk truck. But Brock with the forklift was like the first big like vehicular like mayhem thing that WWE was doing. Also, I was a big fan of WWE Crush Hour, which came out around that time, which was basically just like the shoot 'em up wrestling game when they're in the muscle cars and all that, and they're just like,
very
doing all
weird,
this-
but yeah.
such a weird game. If anybody has never played Crush Hour, it can honestly, Crush Hour was fun. I liked it. That might be a hot take, but I have vivid memories of it. But Brock comes out with a forklift, and Brock jumps off with a fucking cross body off the top of the forklift, and the crowd comes alive. Suplex City and an F5 on the Big Show. Loads the backboard on the forklift pallet, and then he basically lifts Big Show up as high as he possibly can, wheels him out of the arena, and that's it. Brock retains. Was there any doubt? Was there any doubt in my mind? But
Oh, yeah. This was really fun. I actually give it 3 3/4 stars just for the fun factor alone.
Yeah, I gave it 3.5. I wasn't quite as generous, but I mean, I feel like these two would have had like better matches, which would involve Kurt Angle, as we'll discuss. But definitely would not be the end of this feud. They would fight again on an infamous episode of SmackDown, which is memorable for one reason, because that's where the ring imploded upon a superplex.
The first time they ever did that. I remember that SmackDown.
And
me and my brother were watching it. And I remember he sprung to life and said, "See, I told you Big Show was going to break the ring one day."
Yeah.
9-year-old me, 11-year-old him. It's great.
Yep, of course. Shout out to Isaac as well. But yeah, I agree. Very, very fun main event. Absolutely. I had tons of fun going back and reliving this thing. It was exactly what I said at the beginning. It was an absolutely barbaric car crash of a match for a world championship. But in any case, Judgment Day 2003, it was a better show than Backlash in my eyes, just based off the fun factor. Like you have the ladder match and you have the stretcher match. I think those are the only two things that are worth watching on this card. And to an extent, you have a very interesting battle royal with my boy, getting the treatment he deserved on the main roster.
Overall, though, I can grade it better than Backlash, but not too much. I'd give this show probably a 6.5 out of 10.
Yeah. 6.5 is around where I have it as well. I can't go higher than a 6.75, like if I'm being really generous to it. But yeah, that's probably around the range I would have it. But Judgment Day 2003, definitely not the most memorable pay-per-view we'll be talking about.
And coming up with Bad Blood at the next pay-per-view, we're going to do something different.
Mm-hmm.
Pay-per-views will now be split up brand-wise.
Yeah.
One show is going to get a set of pay-per-views, and the other show is going to get the other. So Bad Blood is the first ever Raw exclusive pay-per-view.
Yep, and that'll be interesting, my friends. That is also headlined by Hunter versus Nash inside a cage, a big ass cage, Hell in a Cell of all things. One of the most forgettable Hell in a Cell matches to my recollection. So that should be fun to go back and revisit. And of course, we'll be talking a lot more wrestling over these next couple of months. We got AEW Full Gear coming up on November 13th. We've also got Survivor Series coming up this year. And a couple more retro reviews. You guys voted on WrestleMania X7. And Tomas and I have discussed, we discussed a certain Survivor Series, also to be done in the build up to this year's.
Oh yeah, just because we have dueling opinions on this Survivor Series, and I think it'd just be fun to just go all out on that one.
Yep, we're going to be looking at Survivor Series 1998 at some point next month. The home of the Deadly Game tournament and one of the greatest Jim Johnson pay-per-view theme songs of all time. But in any case, folks, yeah, if you guys are looking forward to discussing all that stuff, I also discuss all things movies and entertainment over here. So do consider hitting that subscribe button down below. It would really mean a ton. It also is really beneficial in helping this content get out there to more people. As is hitting that thumbs up button. That really, really helps the traffic out here. But in any case, folks, stay tuned for all that and much, much more. Y'all are the best. Stay tuned for the next one. Take it easy, guys.